Hello, everyone. Today today we have someone who's joining us for this interview. So, Beyond Aquila is a summer program designed for neurodivergent people, and they help people with managing social, emotional, and executive functioning. And from my own personal experience, they did kind of help me with developing my social skills, and without them I wouldn't have been the same. um I wouldn't have been the same person like today I am, because they did help me manage my social anxiety as well. And they also do help you transition successfully to college. So this camp was actually directed by Kevin Trimble and Christian Trimble. So the program is hosted in a college. So they provide you with a college campus setting, so that students can adapt to the unique environment and gain some experience with dorm living, campus navigation, and budget management and self advocacy. Because when you're traveling abroad, obviously you need to know these skills. So um, here I'm gonna be interviewing Kevin, um, and I'm going to be asking him some questions related to neurodiversity. So, um, the first question is that what is your perspective on high functioning neurodiverse kids?
Oh, hi, Vedika. It's nice to see you, and thanks for having me on here. I think it's really cool that you use the platforms available to you to talk about things that are really meaningful to you. So that's great. The question you're asking is about my perspective on high functioning neurodiversity. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think I feel really lucky to get to create a community for teens. I think who would all sort of describe themselves in a similar way, with high functioning neurodiversity or kids who are, pretty independent young people and, folks who are, working on sort of things sort of on the margins, I would say, in terms of their social emotional, regulation and skill sets, their ability to form really meaningful connections, and then, of course, like executive function and time management, which I think a lot of teenagers are working on. And I think, one thing that we really try to emphasize at Beyond Aquila is that, we're trying to like just teach teens sort of like what the sort of concepts of living on your own in college might be like. And I think I don't really want to use the word teach necessarily. It's more a chance to sort of practice, because I think that's ultimately for the teens who come into our community, regardless of sort of what their diagnostic profile is or whatever. I think it's ultimately how the people who come into our community learn best, is the chance to sort of practice and get a lot of repetition with some of these skills, maybe more so than some of their peers. And that's really what we designed Beyond Aquila to be, is, helping teens just get more opportunities to practice in an environment that's sort of set up for them to be successful too. I think that's another, piece of it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot we could talk about when it comes to neurodiversity. But that's sort of like a background of like where how it fits in with the work that I do at Beyond Aquila.
But what inspired you like to establish this program?
Yeah. Well, I'll start back to sort of how Aquila got started too, because I think it's an important part of the puzzle. So Camp Aquila, that's our traditional New England summer camp, which you didn't go to, but it has a younger population there, so 9 to 16. And that community got started back in 2008 was the first summer. And the way it got its start was the two directors, Eric and Debbie Sassones, who are still the directors. They're the founding directors. They're still there. They're my mentors as I got into the camp world and really got my footing with Beyond Aquila too. But they started it. They were both camp people. Debbie's a clinical psychologist, And they sort of found as they were working at different camps that they were always gravitating towards some of the teens and kids who were sort of on the outskirts of the social circles, the kids who were doing fine, but they weren't really thriving. They were seeing,
Mhm.
what can we do more for this kid? And
Mhm.
this was at the time that Asperger still existed, and there just wasn't as much awareness to around and sort of support, I think, for neurodivergence. Neurodivergence wasn't really a word at that time either. There wasn't like a neurodiversity center. There was autism and there was Asperger's, but there wasn't sort of this like overarching theme of neurodiversity and supporting
Mhm.
people who are neurodiverse. And so Aquila got its start basically by from Eric and Debbie saying, "Look, we need to create a community for these kids. They deserve a place that's designed for them, that's
Yeah.
structured for them, because a lot of the real world, the mainstream world, is not necessarily
Yeah.
set up for a neurodiverse person to feel comfortable, to feel confident in who they are, and we have this amazing opportunity to create that space. So that's how Camp Aquila got its start, and then we sort of realized with Beyond Aquila we have teens who are very much capable of success
Yeah.
after high school and different college environments. What can we do? What type of programming can we do to sort of continue their time with Aquila that gives them more opportunities to practice their independence, practice getting ready for that next step? And that's sort of where Beyond Aquila got its start. So yeah, I
Mhm.
started in 2009 with Aquila, so I've really
Mhm.
been here for the full ride, but really fell in love with the work that we get to do and have been fortunate to make a career out of it.
But do you think that it's better for people who are neurodiverse to engage with people who are neurotypical as well so that they can gain more of a perspective of how life is like instead of just categorizing them into a branch?
Hmm. Right. So rather than having sort of like a fully exclusive
Yeah.
neurodiverse or neurodivergent population
Yep.
at camp, yeah, no, I think it's a balance of both. I don't think the real world is one way or the other. Of like you're just going to be around neurotypical people all the time. You're just going to be around neurodivergent people all the time. You're going to be around a ton of different people, and I think you have to sort of develop the confidence to interact with all of those people in different ways, right? In ways that sort of work for you and work for them too. And I think why I really feel what we do at Beyond Aquila is important is it's giving teens a confidence boost because a lot of teens haven't had a space where they can be in a community where they feel really confident and feel like people respect them and feel like people get to understand them and building confidence then allows you to translate some of the skills and apply them in a more real world setting that's not as structured or um, doesn't just have teens who are neurodivergent, right? It's going to be a mixture of teens who are neurodivergent and neurotypical, or it's sort of what I would call like a neurodiverse community in general. So I think there's a balance of both. Like not one way or the other is like just exclusively hanging out with neurotypical kids or just exclusively hanging out with neurodivergent kids is like the real world. You're gonna do both in your life. But I think getting experiences where you feel confident in who you are and feel comfortable allows you to take more positive risks, learn from those risks, and then apply them in different environments too. So
Mhm.
that's why we've sort of structured the program the way we do.
But like you said about like just um about like kids that there's a balance of uh neurotypical kids and neurodiverse kids.
Mhm.
Like do you think from your point of like do you think will do you think some neurodiverse kids find it overwhelming to be with others like them of um because of their own differences with them? And so is it better if they hang out with people who can kind of provide them with stability as well?
Mhm.
Do you
Yeah,
think?
it's an interesting question. I don't think there's like a black and white answer. There's not in my mind, like one environment is the best across the board for everyone because everyone's different. Everyone's unique. Everyone has their own way of interacting with people and what's comfortable for them. And people are ready for different things at different points in their life too. There are
Mhm.
teens that I talk to who are nervous about coming to Beyond Aquila because it is a community of neurodivergent kids, and they prefer to spend time with neurotypical kids at that time in their life, and that's okay. Then I say Beyond Aquila is probably not for you, so here's some other programs to look at. But I think it's totally an individual thing. And I think people, especially teenagers, you're all still in the development zone. Your brains are still growing, you're still maturing, and that's going to
Yeah.
happen until you're in your 20s too. And so, like, and I think people forget that sometimes, that like we're all still figuring things out, into our 20s, and our brains are still growing and learning and maturing. And but I think people are ready for different things at different times. And yeah, I don't think there's one way that's sort of like better than the other. I think you have to find sort of what works for you. And that's the most important thing. That's sort of why we have Beyond Aquila designed. It's a very individualized program for everyone.
And also, like, in Beyond Aquila, do you like have any programs where you can encourage people to focus primarily on the academics as
That's
well?
a good question. Yeah. So this past year, I wouldn't say it's a primary focus for the kids who do this part of our program, but it's an opportunity to gain a 1 hour credit college course. They take it pass fail through Curry College, and so the faculty at Curry lead a course. It sort of happens simultaneously with our community service program. And the course is called Experiential Learning Lab. It's not like taking English class or taking
Hmm.
math. There's no homework, there's no tests and quizzes. So I would say it's sort of academic light. It's getting exposure to a college course and what it's like to interact with the professor and work with others. But the course is really designed to help teens learn how they learn. So learn how their brains work. What are their learning strengths? Where are the areas of support need that they need to, advocate for support for, or advocate for accommodations for? And that's, I think sort of in line with the rest of what we do with Beyond Aquila, but with a little bit more of an academic lens. But yeah, I think Beyond Aquila will always primarily be about the skills sort of outside of the classroom. But here's an opportunity for our students to also get a little bit of exposure to what a college course is like, and take a credit out of it too that they can use in college down the road.
Also, like, I have a question about the summer camp, the summer camp that happened this summer.
Mhm.
Uh, what were some of the traits that you found in most of the kids in the first batch? Were there some things that you observed which were common among us?
Um, I think what I noticed most sort of across the board this year, if there's like an overarching trend, and I'd say this is the case for most years, is that I think a lot of people just really cared about each other at camp, and wanted the best for everyone in our community, I thought. Which I think is great. That's the type of community we want to create. Those are the types of people we want to bring in to the camp community. That doesn't mean that everything was perfect for everyone all the time. Like there are still moments when teenagers have conflicts and disagreements, and that's totally okay. But it seemed like people were sort of willing to come to the table to work through those disagreements or conflicts this year, which is great. That's, I think, the most we can ask for people. That's what an expectation we sort of set from people too. Is like if you just don't get along with someone, that's okay. That's life. You do have to figure out how to coexist with that person and do so respectfully too. And that's, I think, one of our main goals in helping teens sort of navigate different things that come up. So um but sort of otherwise we do a lot of work in our application process when teens before teens come into the community to really make sure we're bringing in a peer group who feels like this is a true peer group for them, and so I don't think there was any sort of like other overarching themes outside of like just normally who our group of young people are every summer.
Oh, so about so sorry, I'm just like there's so
It's
many
okay.
questions that I want to ask you about, and it's a lot related about to Do you think schools are providing enough support towards neurodiverse kids?
I think some do a really great job of it, and there's schools that are designed specifically for neurodiverse kids. They're designed just sort of like we are to help this group of people find community and be set up for success.
Mhm.
And I think they some do a really great job of that. There are some who would do things a little bit differently than I would too, but it works for their school and the students who go to those schools. I think that in the public education field, it varies. There are some districts that do a really amazing job, and I hear about really amazing programs at some of these schools. And then there are some districts that I don't hear about those things. And I hear about parents having to fight with the district, or the district missed this. Students can fall through the cracks a lot more easily, and in some districts too. So I think it really does depend. Um, I think the more and more awareness there is around neurodiversity, and since I started doing this work in 2009 to now, there's been a huge shift in the amount of support that's available to neurodiverse people, and making environments, just generally speaking, more supportive of them. And there's still work to do on that front too. So, I don't think we're in a perfect world by any means for neurodivergent people. And I think we've made a lot of progress on that front over the past 15 years. But there's more work to do for sure. But I think there's also some really great resources and support out there in different school environments too.
And specifically in Beyond Aquila, do you um have you ever uh what do most do most of the do you call them students, I mean, or like what do you
You
call
just
them?
call them teens. They're not
Most
like taking classes. So
Oh yeah, sorry. Do most of
that's
the
all right.
teens, um, do most of the teams like sometimes feel ostracized by having counselors because they do not know how to react to a certain situation and they feel overwhelmed and they feel like sometimes they're being targeted because it sometimes happens to me like even in the camp I like
Mm.
I don't know if it's in me or something. I always like have this mindset of believing that I'm like the one who's being targeted.
Mm.
So does that
Mm.
happen to any of your students too? Like,
Where they
me?
feel like targeted or bullied by
Yeah.
our staff?
No, like they feel that. Like,
Right. Um, yeah, so I don't think that that's something that, I see at camp, whereas like a camper feels like they are, um, being targeted by our staff, in a way that a staff member is trying to put them down or make them feel bad or make them feel other than. Like, I don't think that's something that have seen. If it was, we would be talking about that staff member not being a member of our community, because that's certainly not what we designed Beyond Aquila to be. I think there may be times when teens at camp maybe feel like a staff
feel
member is
targeted.
spending more time with them, right? Like, and trying to coach them, give them more coaching and guidance at camp. And maybe that's because there are some things that are going on for that team that they could benefit from some more guidance and counseling too. Yeah, I can see how sometimes teens might feel that way. And I do think we're trying to be cognizant though of not over counseling and over. Camp is supposed to be an independent experience for everyone, and a chance
Mhm,
to practice applying skills, and also just like to have fun too. So we try not to forget that piece of it.
mhm.
And Yeah, so I don't know if that answers your question, but I don't think that's a um sort of like a prevailing issue in our community. I would say we would try and coach staff too, to balance their sort of coaching and interventions and guidance with teens' opportunities to practice, applying a lot of skills and just having fun.
And also, when you were young, have you ever encountered like a person or a student who was neurodiverse and then you felt like, oh, they might be, you had this moment where you just realized that they might be neurodiverse or they just start differently, like out of the box? Have you
Yeah.
ever?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. Well, obviously, like in my work now, I get to meet a lot of people who are, would describe themselves as neurodiverse or neurodivergent, and I feel again really, really lucky for that. And it's interesting you asked that about when I was younger. There was a lot less awareness around it, and there were certainly people, yeah, that I interacted with, and like looking back person was probably neurodivergent, and I just didn't know the language as much at the time too, when I was really young. So like let's say like a fifth or sixth grader, right? High school certainly like had more awareness around who I'm around, and maybe how their brains might think differently than mine.
Mhm.
And but really what, you know and maybe this goes back to your first question. I really think that when like you're working with someone, all that really matters ultimately is your relationship with that person, and you're just trying to build that relationship. And I think through conversation, um maybe this is why I do what I do. Like all I'm trying to do when I'm talking with someone is figuring out like how their brain's working, and how I can better communicate with that person. And so I and maybe now that I have a lot more awareness around neurodiversity, it allows me to better understand, how someone's brain might be working. Whereas when I was younger, that might have been a harder thing, and I wasn't thinking about the neurodiversity, element of it before. I was just sort of thinking, okay, like I have to try this to interact with that person because what I tried before wasn't working. So I don't know if that answers, but like I really do think that the work that we do, and the interactions we get to have with neurodiverse people ultimately just comes down to building relationships with people, whether they're neurodiverse or not. But I think when you're working with someone who is neurodiverse, or neurodivergent, that relationship is the most important part about the interaction, and making sure that you are doing everything you can to better understand like how their brain is responding to what your inputs you're providing for them essentially.
Also, like you were saying that it was kind of hard for you to kind of interact with people who are neurodiverse in middle school because you used only one approach, which is that you just interact and figure out what's going wrong, what you could have done better. But is it easy? But is it like hard to is it like easy to cross boundaries with a person who's neurodiverse depending on the sensitivity and emotion regulation? So is it easier to like just cross that boundary?
Um, I think for some people, probably, yeah. I think people certainly who have less awareness around neurodiversity, are probably more, maybe more likely to cross a boundary with a neurodiverse person, especially in a first interaction when they're just getting to know each other, and maybe aren't sort of that person isn't coming in with the mentality of, oh, this person may not want a high five or a hug, or whatever it is. So I think that, um, again, it's all very individualized. It may be easier for some people to cross a boundary. Neurodiverse people sometimes do have more sensitivities around interaction with, with their peers or with adults, that I think in like day-to-day interaction, we may not be as cognizant of, just like generally as a society. And there are some neurodivergent people who don't feel that way too, and it's, I would say, not as easy to cross a boundary, with them too. So again, I think it's all very individualized, and this depends on the person.
Oh, okay. That was all. Those were all the questions I wanted to ask you.
Oh, okay, great. Well, do you
Was it?
want to tell me a little bit more about like what how you felt about like the Beyond Aquila experience, and
Oh
what you
yeah,
feel like you
sure.
got out of it?
I just I just thought like probably like fine. Actually, you know what? I would like just go for it. So my experience of Beyond Aquila was actually kind of interesting. or you could say intriguing or like fascinating,
Mhm.
because I did make a lot of friends first, but also I was kind of hesitant to like initially make friends with some people because
Mhm.
I thought, I generally hang out with people who are neurotypical, like in my school, especially there
Mhm.
were kids, like all like neurotypical kids, and everyone in my school got along, and I just thought probably if I go to the camp, what will everything change about me? So I was kind of hesitant interacting with people except for my roommate. So that's why I was just like sticking to myself. And then
Mhm.
I started making friends because I started developing friendships with people in the camp because of the interesting perspectives. And then I realized that even though their social cues were a bit there was a bit like off. They did have some interesting perspectives, and I think um, I really did have good friends, but some of them I did lose because of having different perspectives,
Mhm.
and um, and I try to like figure out where I could have done better, but it's just that some relationships have to be ended because you're not going you're not going along with each other anymore, like as in like.
Sure. Yeah,
And
I think there are
also,
times when we sort of realize like a relationship with a certain person is sort of meant to be more of like an acquaintance and a coexistence than like a true meaningful relationship or friendship too. And like that's okay. I think that happens for everyone. At camp that can feel like intensified though because of the 24/7 nature of it. And you're living with people, you see them all the time, so you don't get as many like
if I
breaks
just
too
had my
from
phone honestly in headphones, I would just like totally just be in my own space, and I would just be like,
yeah.
oh yay. Because because I have all my friends on my phone. Like I just can just
Mhm.
text them, call them. Even in school,
Yeah.
sometimes I text my seniors, I call them on the phone,
Mhm.
and that kind of makes my day. So I just prefer sitting alone because it's fun for me. But in the
Right.
camp,
Yeah.
I was not offered. Unfortunately, I couldn't
Yeah.
take my phone, so it was
Yeah.
kind of. And also, I didn't have like a cassette or like a iPod, so it was kind of hard for me, and it was overwhelming because
Yeah.
I did not
Yeah.
have my music.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, camp can be a space where I mean we know that we're pushing people, and that we talk about like Beyond Aquila is designed to be hard. It's not designed to be like a easy. And it is designed to sort of push people outside of what they're used to, and the phone is a big piece of that. And so yeah, I think that that definitely does make things harder. Not having that device, and it also allows people to make new relationships too with one another,
Uh,
that they wouldn't have made otherwise. I think in a lot of cases too.
for me, if I just have my phone, people just think I'm cool. Cause like I don't cross boundaries, and then I'm just like listening to music, and honestly, nothing matters. Like not even the people. Like sometimes I just don't care about what's happening around me, and I'm in my own space, like in my own bubble.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be like super hyper and I just want to know what's happening. And
Mhm.
also, it just be a lot of overwhelming because some of the
Right.
friendships that I have, like people were just like all over the place, and that kind of just like sometimes made my day feel low or high.
Mhm. Right. Gotcha. Based on like where your friends were at Beyond Aquila, essentially, like that
Yeah,
could affect
some of
your
like
mood or your day. Yeah.
yeah, but like the difference between the people in Beyond and Kila in my school were that the thing is that like there people are neurodiverse, and um it was just kind of like I literally like some people, like I think you might know this guy called Benjamin, but he left. He was like someone who
Mhm.
was relatable to me because he
Mhm.
has the same music taste and he was kind of cool. But there were
Mhm.
some people who I like they were friends with me, but it was just that they had a lot of emotions going on. So
Mhm.
and sometimes they just like kept following me, and it was just kind of getting too much.
Mhm.
So
Gotcha.
that's why it kind of made me feel a bit overwhelmed. If I just had my phone on the side, it would have been better because I wouldn't care like about things happening around me. I would just be like, yeah, there is a spot.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, I think phones certainly provide that outlet for us, and I think it's good to understand the balance of having them and not having them too. Sort of like when we're in the real world. Um, Yeah, so camp is this like awesome opportunity to practice that in like a really intense environment for that 2.5 weeks. So I know it can feel like a lot for sure, but it's a good chance to sort of practice how to navigate some of that stuff when you don't have access to that phone too. So
But
yeah.
but in general in colleges we can have our phone, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Then
You
why in this
people
camp we
use their
couldn't
phones
have
all the
phone?
time.
Why in this
Well,
camp?
I think the reason why we don't allow is because it is a short 2.5 weeks, and a huge focus for our community is to work on building relationships and navigating, conflicts with teens and peers in a college environment, and like how to live with someone, how to organize your day, and having phones just takes away drastically from those things.
Like
There are
how?
certain things that phones can do to help with that too. I recognize that. But when it comes to like in-person interactions, they're huge detractors. And so it's something we've sort of chosen to not have be part of our camp.
I need my friends. Like obviously my friends are there like right away, like to text. And then I do video calls and all of that
Yeah,
just makes my day. But then if I don't have that, then I just feel like I'm gonna like I don't have anyone and it's like
right. Yeah,
like totally different place and I don't have my people who can convert me,
right.
especially like
Yeah,
my best friends. And some of
yeah.
my friends like I think like in the last day you saw I think Miss Kristen was there like and I think I was just holding my phone and then there were literally people texting me saying where were you, where did you go, and why did you not post for so long, and they
Yeah,
were missing me.
the phone blows up once you get it back, which
Yeah, that's
hopefully
why
feels good. Like people miss you, which is great.
no, but then I just like ignored like everyone and then just looked at my phone and then I just texted my best friend from who I did not speak for 2.5 weeks from Japan,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I was texting her.
Oh, good. Nice. I'm glad you had the opportunity to do that then right after camp. That's great.
Yeah. No, I actually like next time I think you should allow people to take their phones, but like for a limited amount
Mhm.
of time.
Sure. Yeah. It's something we think about all the time. But I think we feel really good about the way that we structure it. And, it's not for everyone too. So there's some people who don't come to Beyond Aquila because of that reason. And we're okay with that. There are great programs that are out there too, where you can have your phone. And, um, I think again, it's part of like knowing what works for us and what helps the teens in our community with the things that we are really trying to work on, and give them opportunities to practice. And yeah, so that's a big part of why we have that policy. But I appreciate the feedback about the phone. Thank you. I
Yeah,
get it
no,
all the
you're
time.
fine. I'm really sorry. I should not given you, but it was kind of fun. But also, like, I think my if I just had my phone to the side, I would have been like so cool.
Yeah, yeah, of
It just
course.
makes me more cooler because people just think I'm so nonchalant and
I
detached.
think you're cool without your phone too, Vedika. I don't think you need your phone. I don't know what you're like with your phone, so all I
Oh,
know
I
is
just like I'm quiet
cool
and just
Vedika without her phone.
no. I'm just like most of the time quiet. I just ignore people. That's me.
Hmm, there
I
you go.
ignore
Well, you
people.
got pushed out of your comfort zone at Beyond Aquila then, which is great.
Uh, yeah, I just like ignoring people sometimes. Like I'm weird that way because sometimes find it fun ghosting people. It's just fun.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we are getting off track about this phone thing here. Do you have any other questions for me about Beyond Aquila or about me in general?
Um, so are you working with any people like in Beyond Aquila even now today?
Am I working with people?
People like I mean like teens.
Yeah, we're starting to meet teens for next summer already. I'm meeting one later this week. But we don't do sort of like the counseling work outside of summer. So we don't sort of have like a ongoing coaching relationship with teens throughout the year. But we do touch base with families and sort of catch up with how their teens are doing, types of schools they're looking at after high school. So that's another part of what we do. But yeah, but we're getting started and starting to talk with new families and returning ones and getting ready for next summer, which is exciting.
Are people from our batch like most of them returning?
We just sent stuff out, so it's still pretty early for us to know. A lot of people won't really tell us until end of the year, early next year. So it's still early, but there's a lot of interest. I know, which is great.
Interest like from what do you mean?
from people who are interested in returning to camp.
Oh, and also do some people I know who are planning to come back?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, to be honest. That would be something I have to look at, but maybe not for the podcast, maybe separately.
Oh, podcast. Oh. Okay, so I think that was about it because I just was curious to know who are coming back. Probably I might come back, but also it depends because I need to apply early to college.
Yes, that's the reason we don't really hear from anyone in your age group for a while because like you're all figuring out what the fall is going to be first before you can make summer plans. So,
Yeah.
and good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm
Hope
applying to
that hope
BU,
that
so
all
summer.
goes well. Great. Sounds
Uh,
good.
so where's the next? The camp is going to be again in Curry College, right?
At Curry again. Yep. Next summer.
Oh,
Hopefully for a very long time. We really like being there.
oh, okay. Also, my room had like a full of smoke. I remember like
Oh,
yeah, my room was
okay.
actually someone went inside my room. I think one of the counselors, and they were like, "Why does it smell of smoke?" Like
Oh,
someone smoked
okay.
cigarettes there for so long in the
Mm.
in Curry College. And not like it was like some member who was like studying in Curry who were like smoking cigarettes.
A student from Curry may have been smoking in the room before camp
Yeah,
started.
are you like part of the Curry College team?
No, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess someone from there.
Yeah, we can't necessarily control what the students do before we get to the dorm. So sometimes the rooms have some odors about them that we do everything we can to get rid of before people arrive. But yeah. All right, well, Vedika, it was so good to see you.
It
Thanks
was good to
for
see you
including
too.
me in this. I really appreciate it.
I'm so sorry for going off topic because I was just missing camp a bit because
Yeah,
my
it's
family
always
went.
fun to catch up and talk about camp. We could get lost in that conversation for a long time.
Yeah. See you. Thank
All
you.
right. See you, Vedika. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye. Take care.